What's up guys, my name is Fred and today we're going to create this project here. And I know what you think, it looks kinda too difficult, but actually it's not, at least according to the hundreds of artworks that I already created. If you follow this tutorial, it's going to be a piece of cake for you too, for sure. Especially if you have already taken my free Photoshop Essentials course. Anyway, let's get started. We are going to create this artwork here. And not the whole artwork, but we are going to create the most difficult part of it. We are going to create this VR headset part, the colorful VR headset, and I actually don't have a name for this artwork. Well, let me see. No, I don't have a name. As you can see, it got like 400 something likes, so it got pretty popular. People really liked it, so I'm sure you're gonna love it. So first of all, we need to insert the image. So we need to place the image here. Let's just drag it and drop it here. And now let's make sure there's no empty space left, so just press and drag, and yeah, the guy should be in the middle somewhere, and let's press OK. So now let's go to layers panel and delete this background layer because like we don't really need it. It's always there, but we always have to delete it. It's so stupid. Like, anyway, and so what are we going to do? So let's look at this image again. First of all, we need to create a rectangle like this, and it needs to be a rectangle with a gradient colors, so we can like light blue, dark blue, pink, red, yellow, green, and so on. So we can add different colors to it. Let's just go here, press right, and make sure you choose a rectangle tool. Okay, that's very important. So now just draw a rectangle like this. Okay, so now if you look here, you will see here fill and stroke. Make sure you press on stroke and then you press the first option to make sure there is no border color, there is no stroke actually. And now let's press on fill. And here we need to select the third option, which is actually gradient. And here we have few gradients that are built in Photoshop. One of them is this one, and that's actually what we're going to use. It's a built-in gradient in Photoshop. And yeah, so we don't need to create our own gradient and stuff like that. So let's continue. Okay, now when you have done that, let's choose our first tool. And what we need to do, first of all, if you need to change the size of your rectangle, for example, right now we need to make it a little bit wider, I would say. Let's go, make sure on layers you have the rectangle selected, go to edit and press free transform. And now we can just press and drag it like this. You see? It's so easy. Sometimes I get too weird. Let's continue. And yeah, when we did that, let's create a copy of, actually before we create a copy of this, let's do that. Let's press right here, so not on the text, not on the image, but exactly here on the empty place, and choose convert to smart object. That's what we need. So now when we have done that, we need to create a copy. Let's press right here, choose duplicate layer and press OK. And if I just press and drag, as you can see, now we have a second copy, and second copy was automatically created on the first one. That's why I just had to press and drag. So we are going to use the second copy to create the right side, then we're going to create a third copy to create the back, and also we're going to create a fourth copy to create the left side. Let's put it here, so somewhere like this. And what we need to do right now, again, we need to go to edit, transform, but this time we need to go to perspective. And when we do that, we can just put our stuff, like put this objects in perspective. For example, we can press and drag this place, this not place but this point. As you can see, it's getting into perspective, and let's have a look. It needs to be somewhat similar to that. So again, I would say even more into perspective, and let's do that. Let's press right and choose here scale. Let's just change the. Okay, so what is actually the problem right now? The problem is that we needed to first change the scale and only then change the perspective. That's actually the problem. So let's go back. Let's just press cancel here, and when you press cancel, it's okay, it's back to normal. So now, first of all, let's again go to edit, just free transform, let's change the let's change the size. But right now, as you can see, it changes the size. It changes both the height and the width, but we want to change only the width of the object. So if you are using the latest version of Photoshop, which is 2019, the same is going to happen to you. Here, it automatically width and height are connected. But if you are using previous versions of Photoshop, 2018, 17, and so on, then when you change one of the parts, for example, you want to change the width, the height is not going to be affected. So again, if you're using the latest version of Photoshop, you just have to press Shift and drag. And when you do that, when you press Shift and drag, you can see we change the width and the height is not getting affected. But again, this applies only to the latest version of Photoshop. Anyway, you can try both options. You can try with Shift and without Shift. So now when we did that, let's press right and choose perspective. And now let's press here and drag it up like this. Okay, so now when we actually drag this up, my grandfather just brought me an ice cream. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, what was I doing? Yeah, so as you can see, we changed the perspective here, but again, it's too big. If you look here, we need to make it even. No, actually, that's not that big. It's actually fine. Let's press OK. So what we need to do now, let's make sure we choose this and then hold Shift or hold Ctrl or Command and press on the second layer as well, and let's just drag them all together to the left, so we have less space left here. And now we need to create the left copy. So again, we just press on this one, and another way actually to create a copy is just to hold Alt or Option. So for example, if you're using Mac, you're holding Option. If you're using Windows, you're holding Alt, and you hold Alt or Option, and then you press and drag, and see what happens. Magic, there is a second copy. And then we can release the mouse button first, and only then we release the Alt or Option button. Okay, that's very important. Or you can just press right and press duplicate layer like we did the first time. So now when you have done that, make sure this one has to be behind this layer, so we have to put it here. Perfecto. I don't know, like, if it's a word, like, it sounds like Italian or Spanish. I don't even know if it's if it's a real word. Let's do the back now. So let's take this part and let's again hold Alt or Option, press on this layer and drag it back like this, and release. And guess what again? Perfecto. Okay, let's let's get back. Let's bring this down a little bit. This should be fine. No. Okay, as you can see here, we have like few problems, but it's not that big of a deal. Like, we're not going to see the back anyway, so it's fine. It's fine. And if you look here right now, so okay, we have done basically the most difficult part, I would say. Now let's do that. First of all, let's choose all of these 4 layers. So let's press on the upper one and let's hold Shift and select the one below, the last one. Let's now group them basically. So when you have selected all of them, you can just press here on the group and see what a group is created. Now, for example, we can press this arrow here, we can see the whole group, we can press the arrow again, and again the group is closed. So we're going to create a mask right now for the whole group. And how are we going to do that? So first of all, press on the group and wait, let me just think for a minute. Okay, it's fine. So let's select the group, let's create the mask. Now we have here this empty mask basically. So now we need to delete some parts of this object, of this colorful VR headset. And in order to see what we actually need to delete, let's just turn off this for a second. What we can do with this image is actually, this image has a perfectly clean background. That's why what we can do, we can go to select and press here subject, but first we need to select the image. Yeah, now select and subject. What subject does, it automatically finds the front subject of this image, and it works really good when the image is really clean. So right now it should work perfectly. Yeah, as you can see, it's almost perfect. Now let's go here, let's turn this on. So what we need actually to do right now is, for example, if we take our brush, press right, choose brush tool, and make sure you have black color selected here. So press here to change the black and white, or you can just press and change the color. And now make sure opacity is 100%, flow is 100%, mode is normal. Go to your brush settings, make sure hardness is 100%, and let's make the size of the brush a little bit bigger. So for example, right now, also make sure you have selected the mask. Okay, and if I start drawing, see what happens. For example, because we have this selection here, if I draw, as you can see, it doesn't affect anything outside the selection, so it only draws inside the selection. That will help us to keep these places untouched, so it will make our job much easier. So right now we can just draw again, draw like this. We just have to make sure we don't touch this part. So what we actually need to do, let's make our brush smaller. You can just press right and change the size like that, or you can just go here and change the size here. So press here once, okay, press there once like this. Now when you have pressed once there, go to the other end, hold shift and press again, and see what happens. There's magic again. Look, Photoshop automatically draw a whole line from point A to point B. That's so cool. We just press once, we hold shift, and then we press second time, and there's the whole line created. And yeah, so now when we did that, it's actually much easier to delete everything else, because like right now we know what we shouldn't touch. We can make our brush bigger and just delete the rest. So it's always very important to define the edge first in order to make your work really easy, like this. And again, we need to do the same regarding to this place. So for example, again, we go here, we press once, okay, and then we go here, we hold shift and press again, and see there's whole line created between them. Photoshop magic. Da-na-na-na. Wow, that looks good. So now let's go to select and choose the select here, so we don't have the selection. Now we need to fix a few things. So first of all, we need to fix the colors here. And how are we actually going to do that? Actually, let's go back. Let's go to let's go to edit and undo the select, so we have still the selection here. So in order to make sure we unselect the hair from here and we can draw on these blue parts basically. Okay, let's do that. There's actually a few ways we can easily draw on these places, because for example, let's go to select again. Sorry guys, but I'm just trying to figure out the best way for you to do that. So first of all, for example, right now if I take white color and I try to draw here, see what happens. I draw, but it also draws on the hair. That's not that good, right? So we need to find a way to make sure we draw only on these blue color places. How we do that? So if you go here, for example, press right and choose magic wand tool, and here for example, this tool helps us to select, to create selections based on color. So for example, if I press here, see what happens. It basically selected all the blue colors, and that's fine because that's actually what we need. So for example, I can press again, and so you see it selected more blue colors. And right now if I take my brush and I start coloring, see what happens. It will only draw on the blue parts basically. So if I go now to select and deselect, you see it's almost perfect. We just need to fix few things. So let's just go here, and at this point I would suggest you make hardness 0 to make sure everything is smooth. And you just have to draw a little bit, you know. Yep, that looks really nice. We could do actually the same here, so let's just take again our magic wand tool and press here, and when you have this, just take your brush again, brush tool, and if you want to quickly change between the tools, if you press right here, you can see here short key B, or for example here you can see short key is W. So for example, if I press B on the keyboard and switched back to my brush, if I click sometimes I forget the easiest word. If I click W again on my keyboard, I am switched back to this magic wand tool. Again, Photoshop magic. So now let's go to brush tool, and if I start drawing this, as you can see, it affects only the blue colors, and that is again perfecto, the Italian or Spanish word. I don't know. I just don't know what I'm talking about. So let's go to select and do the select. Well, we can actually delete these things as well, you know, just a soft touch wouldn't be bad. So now when we did, let's actually see how long is this video. Oh my god, it's already 15 minutes. I'm sorry, it's probably getting too long, but it's totally worth it. So now if you look here, we have here this kind of first of all, you can see it's like a liquid thing that is flowing down, like some kind of glitch. And also we have here this kind of lines, like black lines, that it makes it look like it's a painting. And how do we do that? So first of all, let's create a new layer. And now if we go here if I press right, and here I have Smudge tool, that's what we need. So now make sure sample layers is selected, strength is around 50%. Also make sure you go to brush settings, because you see I have here this kind of brush. You probably have the round brush. We need to change that. So if you go here to brush settings, and if you don't have brush settings here, just go to window and find brush settings here. So if you go to brush settings, you'll be able to find here this brush, this one. Just select it. Okay, when you have selected it, go to spacing and make this to 1%, so there's no space between brushes. Otherwise, if it's too big, see what happens? There's a big space between our drawings, between our brushes. That's why let's make it 1%. Okay, now when we do that, let's just see what it does. So for example, right now, let's make my brush bigger. If I draw, look, it takes some parts of the, like anything that we take, anything that we drawn, and draws it down. For example, if I do the face, you see the same is here. So that's why in order to make sure our brush doesn't affect the face, what we have to do, let's go back. So just edit, undo Smudge again, back. Let's turn off the image. And right now we can actually, for example, make this bigger, and we can do like this. Or what I would suggest you to do, let's go back, go here and change the direction of the brush. So right, you see right now it's vertical, and it's going to be much better. Let's again look here what we have here. Yeah, so you can just, you know, draw this kind of lines here. I would also advise you what to do is just press once and then hold shift and press again in order to make sure the lines are straight, just like we did in the previous part. So you can draw a little bit like this here as well. Just don't do it too like if you do it here, for example, you see here this color is now mixed with this one. That's actually my mistake, so try not to do the same mistake. Be better than I am. Oh my god, that sounded like some kind of Avengers word or whatever. And yep, so we just draw it like this, let's make our brush smaller. We can, like, if you need to fix something, you can also draw up. For example, you can make your brush smaller and, you know, just draw up and down. You can also draw up, as I said, like this. So yeah, when you did that, okay, actually I don't like this part. So if you don't like something, you can just take eraser tool. So you can just press E on the keyboard. I have eraser tool selected, so it's this one, and you can make this brush smaller and also make the hardness 100, I would say, and just delete the stuff that you don't need, like this, and then you can go back to your Smudge tool, so this finger, and you can draw again. Yeah, much better. Oops, sorry. So now let's go back. If I turn on this image, I can see here already this kind of glitches. Okay, I think I need to do more a little bit, just a bit at some parts of the image, I would say. To make sure it looks better here. Okay, much better. So now when we did that, let's have a look here. Okay, maybe I did too much this time. As you can see here, I don't have it that much, so my mistake. I did too much probably. And again, if you want to do this, you can just take a eraser tool, press E, and you can just delete this stuff, for example, like that. So as you can see, it's that easy. And so you don't have it too much. Okay, now when we did that, we need to combine actually this and this layer. So we press on this layer, we hold Control or Command, press on this layer, we press right and choose here convert to smart object. Like this, both of them are so for example, if I turn this off and on, you see they're combined. And right now I can go to filter stylize, where is that, oil paint. So now, for example, as you can see, yeah, that's actually what we need, but that is too much. So here, for example, are different options. You can explore them if you want to, but we will go straight to the point. Let's go to lighting. If you make lighting a little bit smoother, you can see that it's not, the lines are not that obvious, and that's actually what we need. It needs to be just a little bit, like you have to see it, just not too much, and press OK. So now let's say you don't like what you see, because right now I don't like what actually I see, because sometimes when you do the same effect, whenever you do the same effect, it always comes out as something totally different. For example, here it looks different, as you can see this part, but here where we did it actually looks different. But also we are not quite done, I would say. For example, if you look here, you also have a shadow here, which is like really easy to do. All you have to do is just create a new layer. Okay, then you have to go here, press right, choose brush tool, make sure you have black color selected, make sure you have hardness 0, opacity is around 30%, flow is around 3%. Okay, and right now, for example, you can just go here and draw with black color. So for when you draw with black color, you're actually creating a custom shadow, I would say. And because we have flow, so if you don't know what flow is, just go to my Photoshop Essentials playlist, learn Photoshop from zero playlist on my YouTube channel, and you will be able to learn what is actually flow. And with flow, we can actually create realistic shadow effects. Right now I'm just doing it really quick, so let me just make the flow a bit bigger. So the shadow part actually requires to be very how to say it, to make sure you don't go out from this VR headset, basically, to make sure you don't go out of the edges. So you have to be very accurate, I would say, otherwise it's not going to look realistic. And right now what I would like to do is actually, if we take eraser tool, so just to make sure there's no shadow here, as you can see, we should not have it here. So make sure your hardness is 100%. Let's make this smaller. And for example, right now we can just press here, hold shift and press here, and we have erased the shadow here. That's what we need. We need to do the same for this part. Again, press, hold shift, press here, so there is no shadow, and again here, press and hold shift and press here, so there is no shadow. So again, if you need to, also of course you need to add shadow to his front of his face, so it's still some work. And so again, you just basically need to take your brush and draw the shadow, as I said. So if you want to change this part, this VR headset, just press twice here, and what you can actually do, you can delete this. You can actually delete this, like really create a new layer, and then you can take again your smudge tool and start from zero. You can even try different types of brushes. So for example, if you go here, we have here on brush settings, we can try just a normal round brush, and if you do that, see, it's a totally different effect, I would say. But again, I like the other one because it looks more like a drawing, painting, I would say. So just draw like this. Concentrated. Yeah. Okay, so now for example, let's say you like what you see, you can go to file, save. Where is save? Where is save? Okay, save. And when you save actually a project, you can now go back to the original, and you will see that it has changed. And look, it looks much better right now. So again, If you want to change it, you have just to press twice here on this image, not here, not on the text, but here. You have this object open, this layer opened, and then, for example, you can change it, you can save it, you can close it, and you will see that this layer is also changed. That's why we made the smart object, so we can always change it. That's it, guys. As I said, we're not going to create the full project, but I showed you the most difficult part, I would say. And now you can use this VR headset object on any other images, on your own image, and you can create your own colorful VR guy or girl, whatever. Oh my god, how long is this video? 26 minutes. Oh my god, this is like one of the longest YouTube videos I have done, and it's all for you. So thank you if you have been watching up to this. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, because I'm creating like cool videos almost daily. Sometimes I miss, but you know, almost daily. And also make sure you see my Instagram channel, and also oops, wait, did I just move my video a little bit? Yeah, I think so. And also make sure you see in the details of this video a link to my free Photoshop course, and also a link to my paid Photoshop course, where I show how to create all of these projects from zero to finish and help you to get a Photoshop professional. See you. Peace. Till the next lesson.